Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the grand final. That is the Underground Racing Series. We've had 4 months of races. 2 groups have battled it out. 2 groups of 6 riders to make it to this, the 2022 grand final of the Underground Racing League. Once again, I am joined by co-commentator Kevin O'Pelly. Kevin, how are we this evening?
Fantastic. It's nice and early in the morning here, but it's still a very nice, probably 18 to 20 degrees. Perfect summer weather for us. So
I know you say that with your tongue firmly shoved in your cheek, because when before we went live, I was sat here with my hat and my coat on, but the heat has been on a little bit. I think we're about -4 or -5 here today, which even for us is pretty darn cold, I have to say. But I've got a session to do after this as well, so I am not looking forward to getting that done this evening. But we're here because we've had 4 months, Kevin, of absolute fantastic racing from 2 groups of 6 riders. And we're down to the final 6. So for those who don't know, we've had 2 groups of 6 teams, each with 5 riders each. And the top 3 teams from those 2 qualifying groups have made it through to this, the 2022 Underground Racing Final. So Kevin, let's have a quick look at the teams that we've got this evening.
I think next is the team to beat, really. They've always been at the pointy end every time there's some big race, and I think it's up to everyone else to force Next into an uncomfortable position and try and take the title.
Yeah, I do agree. I'll tell you what, let's have a quick look at the teams and who we've got racing this evening, if we can. Just bear with me. Let's have riders within those teams. So these are the riders who will be riding this evening. So it's Andy Nichols, Dave Griffiths, Mark Elding, Michael Gamps and Tim Bradley for BL13. FRT, I've got Alexis, Nico, Pierre, I think it is, Thibaut and Tom Breyer there for FRT. Anders Jonas, Mads Flashberg here also from Fusion Colo Quick. Matthias Leeson, again, he's been ever present the last couple of months of racing there. Forget my name, I'm just in the pen. And then for next, we've got Brad Greenberg, Jay Bloom, James Barnes, Richard Barry and Zach Neer. Some top names there. Kevin, you're on the start list. Then we go over to Restart Racing. We've got Jammers himself, Daniel Jamrosic, JP Leclerc, one of the Canadian riders there, alongside another Canadian, Mike Sarnicki, should I say there, from Restart. And then Team Castelli Elite, a maiden appearance here for Ewan Mackey. Now, I know Ewan Mackey has also taken part in the last couple of the Grand Prix. It's good to see him here. We share a coach. Luca Zanaska, also Team Castelli, one of the qualifiers for the UCI Cycling Esports World Championships coming up in early 2023. Nicolo, also for Team Castelli. Riccardo Panazza, also from Team Castelli. And then I think we've got the two DSs there sat at the end of the screen. So there's some top quality names on that star sheet there, Kevin. Any rider in particular you think that we might see wanting to battle it out for a sprint finish?
Yeah, not 100% sure. There's so many riders here, and I think it's going to come down to who makes a breakaway. And I think it will come down to a breakaway rather than a bunch sprint, actually. So I'm looking forward to this, and having seen races on this course before, it always does seem to be a breakaway that does catch the bunch out.
Yeah, well, absolutely. We've raced this course before. I think, was it last season or the last series that we did? And it was one of your teammates, Aaron Bleakley, along with two other riders, if I remember rightly, that made that very brave solo three-man break right from the gun, I think, last time we raced this course. So it'll be interesting to see if indeed we see the same sort of event tonight. But I know the riders have left the pens, Kevin, so shall we take a look and join them on course and take a look at the action? The course this evening, of course, being Neokyo, and it is the Railways and Rooftops. And here we are. So we're sitting on with Tim Bradley here from BL13 currently. Make sure we can get a good view of the riders, shall we? So again, BL13 in the very bold sunshine kit. We'll get a little plug in for the event sponsor, and of course my own brand, which is Level Velo, the BL13 sponsor. And also we make their real life kit as well. Interesting already here, Kevin. I think we are seeing a few riders pushing the pace fairly early.
Yeah, really early. I didn't sort of expect them to be pushing quite this hard right at the start, but it looks like Jammers is really putting the hammer down right at the start here, and has obviously watched the feed from the last race.
Absolutely. It is Jammers and JP Leclerc, a Canadian rider from Restart on the front. Restart, really, Kevin, I guess they are going to be on the back front because I think they've only got 3, maybe 4 riders this evening. So just to recap on the points for everybody, the points, there's 30 or 29 riders that we've got here. The points, you get 30 for first, 29 for second, 28 for first, all the way down to last place there with 2 points available for last place. And it is a team event, Kevin. So it's all about stacking those riders in the top 10 to maximise those points for your team.
Yeah, and I guess with teams that are short, it does make sense to attack the bunch and try and get yourself up the front there and get some major points, especially finishing points if you can get in that breakaway.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just sat on here with Luca Zaneska from Team Castelli Elite, of course, one of the qualifiers for the UCI Worlds, qualifying in the recent continental qualifiers that we've seen. And we've got a few of the qualifying riders in this evening. I've seen James Bond. You know what? I say this every single time. I keep calling him James Bond. James Bonds, as we can see at the front of the pack there, also one of the qualifiers.
Yeah, the South African New Zealand rider. We'll claim part of that one, James, for you.
Yeah, sure, that's it. He's based down in New Zealand, so like you, he's enjoying the sunnier, warmer climes at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of club races to get outdoors on as well. So I see there's another push off the front here. So it's good to see the guys really mixing it up tonight and really creating some great racing for us.
And absolutely, and it is that man, JP Leclerc again on the front here, pushing the pace for Restart Racing. Just pushing out 5 watts a kilo now. So anyone who knows this course, we have got this little rooftop climb. I say little, it's almost 2 kilometers long. It's not really a really steep climb, but it is a bit of a drag. And this is, again, where we saw the leaders last time around pushing the pace on this course. As you can see, we've just popped up on the railway, but there are no preems. There are no segments or intermediate points available. It is all about those finish line points. And once again, it's another Restart Racing. It is Jammers himself, Daniel Jamrosic, on the front there for Restart Racing. Another one of our UCI World qualifiers in this event. And opening up a bit of a gap here, Kevin, with 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's surprising he's gone all blazing again. So it's great to see, and he has opened up quite a decent wee gap here. So pushing some good numbers as well at 6.2 watts per kg. So it's certainly no fake attack here. So it's great.
No, absolutely.
We'll see if anyone's going to try and jump across to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Holding us comfortable, or not so comfortable for me, 6 watts a kilo on the front here, opening up the gap to 5 seconds. And at the moment, it's James Barnes sat in the front, but no real emphasis and real push from the group here, Kevin, and just sitting at 3 watts a kilo. So I think, for the moment at least, this gap is probably going to continue to go out.
Yeah, it will, and it'll be interesting to see if someone does think about bridging it, or whether the teams that do have 5 riders send a couple to the front and do some work to try and hold that gap. But he's opened that out a couple more seconds already, so he's really pushing.
Absolutely. I think if I was going to put my money anywhere for someone to jump across here, it would be Mr. Gamst himself, Michael Gamst of BL13. He's got the engine. He's been in these breakaways before. I think if anyone was going to try and get away, we know he doesn't like to hang around for the sprint, but he's going to need some help now to get across the Jammers here, who's opened up a 12-second gap. So interesting. I'm sure Jammers will want somebody to come across.
Yeah, and I see Next have pushed a couple of riders up to the front there, so they are starting to push 5s on the front of that bunch. So I'm guessing they don't like the fact that James is out there by himself. So I think Next are just pushing a wee bit just to make sure that that gap doesn't get out too far and out of control for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Richard Barry, I think it was, there on the front, pushing the pace. We're just going to sit on with BL13 currently. Mark Elding and Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley is an ultra-distance runner, mountain runner, actually, and he recently came second in a 100-mile Summer Spine Challenge here in the UK recently. And I think he's also going to be doing the winter version, which I am not envious of one little bit, but mega, 100 miles running, that seems absolutely crazy. It's bad enough sticking a 100-mile, 5-hour ride on a Sunday, let alone on the bike, let alone with the running shoes on, but a real quality athlete for sure.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be running that sort of a distance. I don't seem to like running at all, really, to be honest. So,
oh, let's be honest,
prefer the bike.
It's bad enough in a car, let alone running, I think. And I can tell you, the distance or the terrain that he is running over is not flat. So clearly got an engine there, but we're just seeing a little bit of a reaction on the front. It's our man Andy Nichols, we're just sat with currently from BL13. One of the riders last week in the final qualification race who went off in the take a 1-2-3 BL13 for the final round.
Yeah, that was a great race from then, and I predicted that that was the wrong time to go, and certainly got that one wrong. I see James Barnes pushing the front of the bunch here. So, interesting fact on James Barnes, he hates bananas. Can't stand the smell of them either. So that's quite odd. So it'll be interesting to see what he does for his carbo loading instead of bananas.
A cyclist who doesn't like bananas. Well, learning something every day. Of course, we are on to the rooftop climb there. And that gap, I think, let's have a look at where that gap, the last time I checked, it looked like it was going out to about 17 seconds. We're just trying to work our way to the front of the group here. Let's get back in with Jammers.
He's pretty consistent, holding some good, strong power there.
Indeed, and he's
consistently around the high fives, sixes.
Absolutely, and we're just about to go over the top of the rooftop KOM here for the first time. 3 laps this evening, so just 21 kilometres. And you can see we're 5.5 kilometres into the race. But it's okay, we can open up a gap climbing up, but it's these sections where the pace is going to be higher in the group where we might see this gap coming down, but we're still currently holding 18 seconds. As we can see, Jammers just easing off there, getting the recovery. I say that is straight back on with 5.5 watts a kilo. But as soon as that road flattens off, we know he will apply the pressure. He knows this game inside and out.
Yeah, it was smart use of the aero there too, waiting until the downhill to boost his speed up quickly.
Absolutely. So all power-ups in play this evening. Like to keep the gamification alive, of course. That gap still holding at 17 seconds. We just ride on with John Brune from Next, powered by Enshored. Again, plenty of racing this year for Jay.
Yeah, and we've been seeing some facts on a few of these riders. So John's actually been struck by lightning, which is quite an unusual fact for a rider. So
these are really out-of-the-box facts that I think we're getting here, Kevin. I like it.
Oh, exactly. Yep. And the biggest prize money he's ever won is actually in a donut eating contest. So, yeah, that's outstanding.
Maybe the donut is his recovery fuel.
Yeah.
I know Matt Gardner from Saris is also famous for his love of donuts, I believe.
True. Some top quality Zwift eaters.
Absolutely. So we're back on with Jammers here, 5.5 watts a kilo. This gap is coming down as I thought it would on the descent. But it was clear that would happen here. But it's all about when we get back onto this flat road, onto this railway section, this Jammer's going to reapply the pressure and open up this gap. This is maybe the opportunity when it flattens off here, Kevin, for someone to jump across and try and get across to Jammers here. Or are they just going to let him hang out here to dry and burn those matches?
Oh, I think Michael Gamps will have that itchy feet. As soon as we hit the flat here, he'll look to go across. He's not a man that likes to sit in that bunch with others, so I can see him possibly pushing for a quick sprint across here to join him.
Absolutely, and no doubt the timing will be right. It'd be interesting from BL13 whether they would just send Michael Gamps, or we see a move like we saw last time with Andy Nichols also. In fact, last week, if I remember rightly, they sent Gamst and then Nichols jumped to cross, and then it was the two of them. And then it was Thomas Berry sprinting out the pack to take that third place, giving BL13 that first, second and third in last week's race. So again, we did say we had 6 teams from each group, so a few teams missing out on the grand final. Racing Without Borders put up a great battle last week and just missed out narrowly to make this final, along with Electric Spirit, also one of the teams just to miss out. This gap holding steady at 10 seconds currently. Jammers still holding 5 to 6 watts a kilo. We're 8.5 kilometres into the race. There's no real chase from the group yet here, Kevin.
No, I know if anyone goes, that Next will definitely put a rider with whoever's going to go across, and that'll certainly lift the pace a wee bit because others won't want to ride a lot from Next going across to a breakaway. So it'll be interesting to see whether they can actually push across to join Jammers out the front there.
Yeah, as we see that gap go again. And you're right to mention that because we have seen very smart racing from all these teams, but we have commented before that every time there's been a key move, Next have had someone in those moves in the final closing 10 kilometres of any of the races that we've had so far this year. And again, we've had 2 underground race series. This is the second and the final one. So this is crowning the grand champions for 2022. But again, FRT have got some very strong and very clever riders in their team as well. So it'd be interesting to see, particularly FRT and Next, how they're going to mark each other through this race. BL13, always the team that like to push the boundaries of tactics. So I do expect to see something from those guys. And I do know that Daz Carter is DSing for these tonight. And Daz always likes to try some smart moves.
Yeah, we see James Barnes heading off the front here, 6.5. So he's obviously been told to go and force the pace.
Absolutely, and it's Mads Flashberg here also just closing that gap. And who is it there also from F40? Freya, I think, just trying to close that gap. They know James Barnes is not a rider you want to let slip away off the front here. You give him some room, and if he was up there with Jammers, I'm not sure you'd see those two riders again.
No, and James is pretty smart on the course. He knows when to attack, where the best places are as well. So it's a good wheel to follow if anyone's wanting to learn where to attack and where to save energy.
Yeah, he's also one of those riders that you don't want to be sat too close to if it comes down to a bunch sprint here. One of those riders that you want to try and get away from if you can, if you've not got that big sprint. And I noticed tonight, BL13 are without their big sprinter. Thomas Berry, a big 15-16 watt kilogram sprinter, is not racing for BL13 tonight. So I'm sure, I mean, none of the other riders are slouches, I would say, Kevin, but he certainly has been winning these qualification races with his sprint.
Yeah, exactly. So any time it come down to a bunch, it was good night nurse, really. And to have someone like that missing tonight, especially if it does come close to a bunch sprint, we've seen it before. He took the bunch to take that third position, I think, last week, to make it a 1-2-3 for BL13. So very strong rider.
Yeah, as we see this gap just holding there at 10 seconds. Richard Barry on the front from BL13, from Next, powered by Enshored, should I say. Andy Nichols closely following. And it's an FRT rider also. So again, these riders just trying to string this out now. We are halfway through the race. So we've got a lap and a half to go. We will be coming up to the climb again shortly. So 10.5 kilometres into the 21 kilometre race. As we see one of the Team Castelli riders just pushing off the front here.
Yeah, that's a great
Foudre. Yeah, I'm seeing some fire socks in the bunch, so the pace has clearly picked up. This gap coming right down now. 4 seconds the gap. We've got Jammers in sight, Kevin. We're going to be back to parity any minute.
And I wonder if this is what Michael's been waiting for and whether he goes straight onto the attack as soon as he's caught.
And indeed, we're seeing a move here from Zach Near from Next. Over the top, 8.7 watts a kilo, pushing the pace, opening up a little bit of a gap. I cannot see FRT letting this rider go off the front though.
Yeah, we haven't seen Next push off the front and attack the bunches for a while, which is great to see.
Absolutely.
Zach actually did a 30k TT before he's hit this race too on RGT, so that's shows how much energy the guy's got.
Yeah, I know he rides a lot on the RGT platform as well, I think. And a few of these riders do cross-platform and cross different races, which is great to see as the sport develops and grows. I think it's Severa again, just pushing off the front here. But this is something, Kevin, we do encourage in this series, isn't it? We don't want riders to sit back and wait for the bunch sprint. We've got to encourage these attacks, and we've seen it in every single race so far this year.
Oh, exactly, and the whole idea of keeping the races small was to make sure the riders had that opportunity and could hold away a bunch. So it's good to see the guys giving it a crack, and yeah, I think we'll see another attack shortly as soon as we get to the bottom of this downhill. I doubt the bunch is going to stay there and just cruise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone's going to take the opportunity.
Yeah, so as we cruise down this descent here, we are sat with the main man, Ewan Mackey. You can catch Ewan over on Twitch on a pretty regular basis as well. And an athlete that I've really seen develop over this last year. He's also coached by Alex Coe. And Alex Coe indeed coaches a number of different riders in this group. And the development and the progress that we've seen from Ewan in particular this last couple of months has been absolutely fantastic. Quite a character, I have to say, if you do go over to his Twitch channel. And we can see he's just on the front here, cruising to the front. I think when this flattens off again, hopefully we're going to see some moves. My money is going to be on BL13 making the next move here. And we are going to be approaching the final lap pretty soon, so 21 kilometers into the race. But at the moment, all 28 riders sitting together here as we ride along with Elding from BL13. So no three-man solo attack from the gun this time, Kevin.
No, interesting. The guys are sort of sitting and watching each other, but I guarantee on team chats they'll be discussing who's feeling fresh and who wants to give it a crack out the front. I do think, like you, FRT do have some strong riders that could attack off the front here. So I'm pretty sure it's not going to take long here. And here we go. Michael Gamst is heading off the front here, just as we thought.
Absolutely. So it's Gamst, JP Leclerc, trying to close that gap with Richard Barry, also there, pushing the pace for next. They know they can't let this man go. I think we both said Gamst would likely attack at some stage, and this is what we want to see. But certainly much more cagey than we've seen before on the Underground Series.
Yeah, they're certainly not letting anyone get any sort of sniff of distance, especially when it's more than one rider.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing instant closing down of any attack so far. But the problem is when you've got a field that is so packed here with quality, and these riders have raced a lot together over the last couple of months with the qualifiers, and of course we're just coming off the back of a fairly competitive ZRL season, I would say. We've got a few weeks recovery and break there before we get into the final round of the current season of the ZRL. Let's jump up to the front.
Certainly race heavy at the end of the year, isn't it, with the amount of events that are going?
Absolutely. And just to give you a bit of insight of what we are planning for the Underground Series next time around in 2023 is we're going to probably move to a continental basis. So we've had a number of applications from the Southern Hemisphere. Of course, your team, NZ Bro, raced the series this time. And I know some of the timings weren't ideal. But we're going to have more of a sort of a Super Bowl style series next time. So again, having regional qualification processes and groups before we move on to the grand final in 2023. But at the moment, we're here. This is the grand final this year. The 6 teams are not messing around, being very cagey, closing any move from any key rider. So we ride on with another FRT here, Bollinger.
Another wee attack off the front here.
Indeed, it is Luca Zanaska here from Castelli Elite. Barry hot on his heels. Again, very cagey, not letting these riders go. This is probably the biggest gap we've seen, apart from Jammer's break early on. Certainly straight, but this is what we need to see. We need to see a sustained long attack. Be interested to see what these 2 riders could do now, Kevin.
Oh, exactly, and they've got 2 riders here, which is good, rather than just one solo rider. So it does mean they can share that workload and probably open up a consistent gap if the bunch do decide to sit up a bit. But it looks like Andy Nichols and that are pushing into the 8s and 10s here, so they're certainly not letting this one go and closing it down pretty quick.
I think Andy here was more thinking of trying to get across to these 2, but what we've seen there is the 2 FRT riders, Breyer and Bollinger here, we're not letting those 2 riders get away. At the moment, they've just closed everything down that's gone. So I do think now Andy Nichols was trying to get across to those 2 riders, and he would have been a good rider to get across. But so far, Foudre Racing Team not willing to let any rider go. In particular, dangerous riders, as we saw there, to try and make that move. 16.5 kilometers. We are moving it. Well, we are into the final lap now. And I think it's this rooftop climb where the attack is going to have to be made. Because once we get to the top of there, then it all becomes about that sprint. Because I don't see anyone, Kevin, getting away after we reach the top of that rooftop segment.
No, it'd have to be a crazy effort to get away. And I think you'd blow up before the finish if you did do enough to get out of it. So yeah, it will all come down to this last week climb.
Absolutely. You can sense the tension in the group here. And it is Andy Nichols and Zanaska again just pushing the pace. You can see the numbers moving into orange here. Is Zanaska once again pushing the pace. Up to 9 watts a kilo on the front. Andy Nichols to follow.
And he's got the fire socks on, which is good to see.
Absolutely. And I think who we have here? We've got Griffiths here just closing the gap.
Yeah, no one wants to let this get away at this stage of the race. Way too important now.
Absolutely, and I think if I was Griffiths here, I'd just be backing off the pace a little bit and letting these two riders just go. Which we're seeing, but I think it's James Bond just trying to... James Bond. I've done it again there. James Barnes once again. Rolling over the top, closing this gap down to Zanaska and Nichols. So we're still riding on with Griffiths here from BL13. Eldin, another BL13.
We need James to put 007 on his tag, don't we?
I noticed James was also streaming over on Twitch this evening as well, so we can all drop into his Twitch stream after this race for his recovery. Another one of those riders who's coached by Alex Coe. Alex Coe also was featured on The Wrap, I noticed, last week with Nathan and Anna. You can catch that on wherever you get your podcasts, in fact, or here on YouTube. This is it. This is coming down to a sprint, Kevin.
Tis indeed. So we finish up the top here, don't we, on the banner? So
we are going over the banner and we're going straight down the other side to the usual finishing place this evening.
Oh, it is? Okay, awesome.
Yeah. I know there was some chat in the chat about finishing atop of the climb, but we did extend it to roll down the other side. But in terms of the money, where is your money going for the sprint then here? I mean, there are so many to choose from. Do you want to go first on this? And then it gives me a little bit more time to think about the finishing.
I'm actually going to go for James Barnes. I just think his timing and the analysis he does leading into these sort of races, I think he positions really well for sprint finishes. So yeah, I'm gonna pick James tonight.
Okay, so you're going with one of the next Powered by Enshored riders. I am gonna go left field. I'm gonna go for Bradley from BL13. Not just because his name is almost the same as mine, but I've seen him race before, and I know he has also got a kick. 73 kilograms, 15.5 watt kilo rider. So I think Bradley is one. I think he's going to channel his inner Thomas Berry this evening in Thomas's absence. And I think he's going to take the victory for BL13. But you're right, there's a lot of experience here. It is equally not just about the power, it is about the timing. And we are in to the final 1,500 meters of this race. We're going to get down to the foot of this descent. And then it is all about timing, all about spotting that neon green finish banner in the distance. We need to try and make sure we get a captured slow-mo of this finish line, I think, this evening. Very cagey.
Someone's using a draft a wee bit early.
Yeah, absolutely. There are no more banners between now and the finish. We're into the final kilometre here.
Yeah, and everyone's sitting up waiting, aren't they? So
absolutely. We're starting to see some orange numbers here.
We are indeed. Oh, it's a huge kick off the front by Alexis.
FRT rider here. Larrick here from FRT off the front. 13.
Jam is chasing hard.
Jam is chasing hard. This is an early sprint. We're into the final 500 metres. We can see the green banner. It is Jammers closing the gap. Ewan Mackey also closing this gap.
And I think he might get caught here by John Broon, has taken off. He's been hit by lightning again.
Absolutely. I think that was John Broon taking the victory there. And it also sounds like Kevin just fell off his chair.
Yeah, knocked me. Knocked her over.
In all the excitement.
Yeah, I think John timed that nicely just to come right over the top last 100 metres by the look of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great timing there to roll over his teammate, I think it was. So whilst, let's just get back in and have the riders. We're going to try and refresh, as it's sometimes a little bit difficult, a little bit of a delay here, but hopefully we can get the results come through. Just bear with me while we wait for these to refresh.
How are these guys typing? Oh, that's good. It's not live. I thought he was typing in the sprint. I thought he's doing well to be typing on screen during that sprint.
You had me concerned there was some bad language being typed on screen there, but luckily not. And indeed, we've got some results in this evening. So first of all, we're going to take a look at the individual results. Let's head over and take a look. So indeed, it was John Brune here. Hopefully you guys can also see those. So that's John Brune from Next, powered by Enshored, taking the victory, 27.08. And Moddy's 4.5 watts a kilo average. James Bond coming in second place. So a top 1-2 there for Next, powered by Enshored. So that will certainly look good from a team perspective. Tom Breyer, FRT, taking third. Strong rider. Just 400th of a second behind the first two riders. And then it was that man, Ewan Mackey, taking fourth spot. So great ride there from Ewan Mackey from Castelli, powered by Elite. Again, I know he's a new addition to the team. Andy Nichols, BL13 in fifth. Zach Neer, sixth there for Next. Richard Barry, also from Next, taking out seventh. Thibaut from Foudre, FRT, eighth. Mark Eldin, BL13, ninth. And Luca Zanaska there, the man who was involved in a lot of that early action, trying to break that group down, trying to get a gap later on, rounding out the top 10. So this very much looks like a Next victory of the Underground Racing League or Series 2022, Kevin. And what a fantastic couple of weeks. Your team, NZ Bro, were involved in Group 2. Unfortunately, not made it through this time. I know some of the timing was a little bit difficult for you this time around. But I think hopefully NZ Bro will be back next season. Kevin?
Yeah, 100%. The boys loved it. So, yeah, it is just a matter of getting timing right within real life stuff. So, but yeah, certainly they love the racing and love being a part of that elite series. So it is good. There is a series out there they can jump into and and race different riders than they normally would. So yeah, they're looking forward to the next series for sure.
Fantastic. And if anyone wants to get involved in the next series and the next even Underground Racing 2023, it is for the top 50 teams from the Zwift Power Ranking. Then, of course, drop myself, Cy Bradley, or Kevin O'Pelly from NZ Bro a message, either via our Facebook pages or any other social media channel as well. And we can get you signed up. If you want to battle the big boys of esports here on the Zwift Underground Racing Series, then get in touch and then we can get you involved for the next time around. Thank you, Kevin. I'm wishing you a great weekend, a great Christmas and New Year as well.
Likewise to you, and you enjoy that nice cold weather over there, and we'll enjoy the sunshine down under.
I'm going to put the thermals on, and I'm going to get myself a warm cup of tea, and then I'm going to do my Zone 2 base ride right here in the next couple of hours. I am going to be streaming on Twitch this evening as well, so if anyone wants to come over and join me and keep me company for the next couple of hours, I'll be over on Twitch in the next 30 minutes. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the training, and we'll see you soon for another Underground Racing Series.